Hello, my name is Suzette Munday, and I am a student at Gardner-Webb University. This is a chance for me to share my interviews that I have done over the summertime with two very qualified teachers and their experiences and how they facilitate learning in their classroom and planning. During this process, I interviewed two teachers, the first being Lisa Harder, who holds her master's in education and a bachelor's in business. She teaches 4th and 5th grade social studies. The second teacher I interviewed was Michelle Davis. She's been a teacher of 8 years of social studies for 2nd and 3rd grade, and she holds her bachelor's in psychology and in education. Both used many ways of assessing their students. The most important thing I saw was that they used performance-based assessments. They did a lot of project-based assessments and their reports and things of multiple sensory-oriented things. And I like that they incorporated small groups and research projects that would lead their children to a better understanding of the content knowledge. Their students respected them. They felt that they cared for them and loved them. And because they cared for them and loved them, the students cared and loved their teachers back in the same respect. This was a very important lesson because the teachers had to have this established for a comfortable learning environment that was healthy and conducive to learning for their children. They used standard-based materials. Two of the ones that they really enjoyed were social studies. For social studies, let me be very clear about that, was that they like to use Studies Weekly and Scholastic News. The reason for that is because that there was so much information that was actually associated with today's world for the children. It had activities that were interactive on a daily basis, and it provided technology resources for the teacher to use as well as for the students to use. During the process of the children's learning, they enjoyed taking time each day to make sure their children actually understood what was being taught. They did this through quick checks. Also, they used, I believe it was called exit tickets, and they used sticky self-assessment notes where the children said what they learned for the day. There might have been a question posted on the board or 2 or 3 questions, and then they would get to answer the questions on the sticky note and pass it in with their name on it. This was a great way for the teacher to assess what the children had learned and decide whether she needed to reteach or move on with that particular subject and its objective. The one thing I really took away from this interview was that as teachers we have to be lifelong learners as well. The teachers didn't just know their content, they realized their content was changing on a daily basis, that the standards of one day are not necessarily the standards of tomorrow. So they were lifelong learners, and by doing so, they promoted learning in their classrooms and showed the children by example that they, too, were learning with them. If they didn't know an answer, they found it out. And they got with their children the next day to let them know what the answer was. If they still hadn't found it out by the next day, they went in together with the class and researched it on the smart boards in different ways. They could look at it on the smart board. They could also research it through Google on the internet. They used a lot of technology resources in their room, which did show that they were 21st century teachers. I enjoyed meeting both these teachers and talking with them, and I realized this was a summertime interview, but that didn't lessen the fact how much planning they put in or the effort that they took to know the contents and the standards for each year for their students, so that they could meet those standards in various ways and assess them in various ways and provide opportunities such as field trips and trips to the library, internet. They used also trips on virtual trips, but virtual trips that could help their students in the process of the learning. They used materials that were always integrated. This was a great way for me to see how much time and effort goes into planning for a teacher to actually become a social studies teacher and do it effectively. Thank you for taking the time to listen and for letting me share this information with you. I hope you have a great day and a wonderful time learning about social studies, as well as you take time to learn the new standards and all the teaching standards which make you a more effective teacher. Have a great day.